Hey, Justin Nicholson Home Inspections here, continuing a series of frequently asked questions. Question today: should I have an inspection on a new home? Home looks great, it's new. Why do I need an inspection? Should I get an inspection? I'll answer that. Should you get an inspection on a new home? Or a home that's relatively new? First and foremost, I'm a terrible salesperson. If someone doesn't want to have an inspection, don't get an inspection. But I want to reframe the question and then perhaps give some examples. You're probably spending $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 on your new home. Do you want to gamble with your investment? An inspection is usually going to cost people, depending on what other kinds of services they add to it. But if you're just talking about the inspection, you're probably looking at somewhere between $400 and $500 versus the cost of the purchase, $300,000, $400,000, or $500,000. Sometimes more, sometimes less. But do you really want to gamble with that? And then there's the experience side. I've never inspected a new home or a home that was, say, less than 3 years old. That didn't have any problems, that had a completely clear list. If you are gambling, let's say that's what you want to do, you want to gamble, then sure. If you're going to choose between a 100-year-old home that looks like it's in really distressed condition versus a new home, and you're only going to choose one, then you're certainly going to choose the older home. But is that how somebody really wants to look at it? What are some of the examples that I have seen over the course of time? There are a lot. One house that I did that was a little over 3 years old, had the original owners, and it was a 6,000 square foot house. This was like 10 years ago. So it was probably built in 2006, 2007. It was a 3-level, 6,000 square foot home with a daylight basement, and it still had a crawl space. So what that would tell everybody is that it was on a hill. So the front side of it looked like a 2-story house. And then you walked inside, it had a basement, you went downstairs, and then even underneath that, there was a crawl space. A lot of times on a daylight basement home like that, it won't have a crawl space. I get to the top of the stairs, going into the basement, and there's glade. Now, just little tricks over the course of time. If I see glade in a house, my antennas go up, all right? My assumption is that something's going on here. So I'm on the lookout even more. I go into the lower level, finished, and there's dehumidifiers going. If I see dehumidifiers on any house, of any age, of any kind, my antennas go up. Dehumidifier for an extraordinary situation, or as I like to emphasize it, an extra-ordinary situation, that's fine. If you're utilizing dehumidifiers, any age of a home, any style of a home, regularly, something's not right. More than likely. So, this place had 2 or 3 dehumidifiers in the basement. Now I'm really paying attention. Not that I don't already. I'm saying I'm extra vigilant now. I open the crawl space access. You can't go anywhere. There's nowhere to go. They didn't excavate the crawl space. They put manufactured I-beams, which are basically just joists, in direct contact with the soil. or where they weren't, just a few inches, you couldn't crawl. The basement was drawing air, well, the whole house was drawing warm, moist air into it. You had joists that were decayed, and there was, as we would later find out, mold growing up in the walls. The home was outside of warranty. The people selling the property, and it was well over $1 million, didn't have a home inspection. Another example, this was about 13 years ago or so. Did this subdivision and a house in a new development, brand new. Go into the crawl space, and if you just peek your head into the crawl space, you'd see insulation, but you go in about 20-25 feet, no insulation. Like, that's really weird. They forgot to finish putting insulation in. Brought it up in my report. Most of the time I don't know what happens after that. I just give people the information and they're done. A couple weeks later, I did another one though. Same thing. You go into the crawl space, 25 feet or so, no insulation. Insulation only in the area where if you peeked your head in, you could see it. Well, my father, Kurt Nicholson, co-owner of the company, I'm having a conversation with him one night. I said, Dad, did this house a couple weeks ago, and then I did another one today, and it's in this particular division. I go into the crawl space, and he finishes the sentence. He goes, there's no insulation except around the access. I said, yeah. And he goes, I did the same. I did another one. As it turns out, the subcontractor who put in all the insulation for that division put the insulation only around the immediate areas of all of these houses, lots of them, and got paid and left. No one went into the crawl space to check. And I'll give you one more example. Did a house in Camas, Washington, about a 3,500 square foot home, nice, and it was a little over 2 years old. When I went to go and do the attic, I could tell no one had ever been in it, because when they paint the inside of a house, they often will spray, and that'll include the attic access. And so the first person that ever goes into it has to break that paint seal. Okay. So no one's ever been in this attic before. House is probably a $650,000 home. I can now tell that they probably didn't have an inspection when they bought it. Go into the attic, no insulation. There's never been insulation. There's zero insulation. I don't know how much money over the course of 2 years or so these people paid for their gas and electric bills to heat this house with air just going straight out of the attic. But that's what it did. They didn't have an inspection, and the home was outside of its warranty period. They had to pay somebody to come in and insulate the attic. I could give a lot of examples. Should you have an inspection on a new home? I would. I've never gone to a house that was new or newer and not found some problems. If you get an inspection and it yields no major problems, that's not a waste of money. That's a good thing. That tells you that the home that you have is in good condition. Some problems will show up over the course of time. This is why people should also have an inspection before their warranty is over if they get a new home. Why not just wait for the warranty? Here's why. Because contractors tend to be more responsive when they haven't been paid yet. I've seen this over and over again. they tend to be more responsive when they're waiting to get paid, and then if you're waiting only for the warranty, they tend to drag their feet a little bit, and their willingness to do a lot of work drops pretty tremendously. So I always recommend that people have it done at both times, because some problems might manifest during the warranty period, but that's not an excuse to not have an inspection when the home is new. What we do is, if people have us do an inspection when the home is brand new, and then again before the warranty, the second inspection is significantly discounted. It would not be abnormal for us to do the second inspection on the home before the warranty period is over for half the price. So it seems to work well for people, and I think that's it.